Nerd alert, dork face.
I am not a loser. I just have a bad haircut.
Kind of a major dork.
Oh, nerds.
If you're into science, tech, or unique hobbies, you're listening to the right show. On Get Nerdy With It, we interview nerds talking about their passions. This is Get Nerdy With It.
Hi, welcome to Get Nerdy With It, episode number 3. And my name is Jennifer, your host. With me, our co-host, Frank. Hello, Frank.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
And we are excited to welcome our guest tonight. His name is Noble Ackerson. Noble, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent.
Great. Thank you for taking the time out to join us. I really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure.
So I have, we're friends online, and I've seen your different sites, and I've gotten a pretty good feel about what you do. But I'm not sure, is your main site managedcompany.com, or is it a Noble World S3? That's
a very good question. I started a Noble World S3 in 2005 at this point, and it was just trying to help out nonprofits and stuff like that. And my business partner sort of came along and thought it was too personalized to me, hence the pun with my name in it. So we basically branched out and started going after small businesses and mid-market businesses as well under the Managed Company brand. So it's a Noble World as the corporation, a Virginia corporation, and we do business as we're DBA, managedcompany.com.
Oh, gotcha.
No, company isn't your partner's name, is it?
That'd be an awkward name, but no.
I gotta say, you had the best first name. I don't know anyone else with the name Noble.
Yeah, my mom has a sense of humor. High expectations, I guess.
Well, mine has an adjective too, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Verb, adjective.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
So I read a little bit about what you do, and it looks like you're into developing apps such as Google Web Apps, and you use Django as well. Can you talk a little bit about that, about what kind of apps you create?
Sure. So for work, I basically just focus on enterprise level apps. We are a glorified value-added reseller of all things cloud services, right? So when Google came around, it was almost a perfect fit. Before Google, we were doing a lot of ASP.NET, SharePoint stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And Google Apps came along, and, frankly, it was a lot more cost effective to the vertical that I was serving. So a lot of my software that I build, anything spanning from custom databases or indexing and search tools using Google's enterprise search solutions. I've done stuff with their search appliance, which is now deprecated, and their search APIs in more recent history, to even SMS-enabled social educational tools for government officials in Malawi.
Wow.
Because, they don't have internet access. Internet access is not as abundant as we have it here. So SMS, we had to I was tasked with the challenge of figuring out how to get USAID or USAID tutors who would go over there and teach government officials, procurement and proper, monitoring and evaluation of their monies that were lent to them by U.S. taxpayers. These tutors will leave and they wouldn't really have anyone to communicate with. So my tool was able to sort of circumvent that using just basic Google Apps suite of tools. So
nice.
With a little help from Twilio, but you had a basic Google group that enabled some sort of a forum type communication between students who are basically public officials in these developing nations and tutors from around the world.
How did you even? I wish I knew how to do what you do. I mean, how did you learn all of this?
So I guess mostly self-taught, but with a caveat. I'm self-taught because I'm addicted to borrowing other people's hobbies, and I'm intrigued by all things computers. But I did go to school. I should mention I did, go to Lynchburg College in Lynchburg, Virginia, studying computer science. So I did have a little bit of proficiency in software, though I should be honest, my entire career, the majority of my career has been spent in a suit and managing other people. It's only been the last 3 or 4 years that I've sort of done a 360 and sort of deemed myself a Python programmer and had to go, relearn everything that I'd once learned, and I'm still learning.
I would imagine it's an amazing sense of accomplishment, though, when you create something that works, that helps others, that helps other businesses be, and do what they need to do, and it's got to feel pretty good.
Well, not so much other businesses, but countries as well, from the sound of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. I wish I had time to do a lot more of that personally, especially in this day and age with the rapid pace of change and bleeding edge stuff. I want to sort of learn everything that I read on Google Plus with all the engineers that I follow. And every other day is Ember.js and Angular.js and HTML25. It's always something new. So I'm sort of stuck between, all right, so what I learned yesterday wasn't the latest and greatest. I need to learn this new stuff.
You got to learn something new, right? Yeah, it's ever changing. Do you do any app development for smartphones? You said you were working with SMS, and
so not directly. Anything that I've done mobile isn't native. It's mostly going to be sort of responsive HTML5 stuff.
Okay.
So I'm normally doing web-based stuff. I would love to get into native stuff eventually, though.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, just to go back for a minute, just briefly tell us a bit how your company works.
Yeah, so we're value-added reseller, which basically means we partner with the likes of Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Rackspace, I should say, and they sell their infrastructure solutions. I've been doing this long before cloud was a thing, right? So back then, you try to convince a nonprofit that was setting up shop not to purchase 20 servers for what they were trying to do and to just basically co-locate it with us. Where back then we would just basically be white labeled by, company X, and we would provide them the solutions at a fraction of the cost that they would have to spend. So basically what we would do is partner, in this day and age, partnering with Google, bringing in, moving them away from an Exchange environment or a SharePoint environment, and, setting up all their users with Google Apps accounts. And then I step in, spin up Google App Engine or Google Cloud Storage or Google Search Appliance, and basically solve a bunch of problems that, the reason why I was there is because they had a lot of problems with the legacy solutions that they had. They basically needed to get rid of those.
Are you seeing a lot of companies making the switch from Exchange over to Google?
Companies in my vertical. So I deal with a lot of nonprofits, a lot of political campaigns, a lot of smaller businesses that are, 25 to 75 users, are making somewhere normally under $5 million in revenue. Um, a lot of schools, a lot of universities, obviously moving to Google Apps, and frankly, the trajectory with smaller businesses getting comfortable with web-based applications is quite staggering. Within the last 2 or 3 years, everyone's sort of reluctantly but conveniently letting go of Outlook, for example, and settling with Gmail.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's different. It's something. Initially, my job is to sell them on it, right? So I guess before I even get the whiteboard and cleaned up and I start working, I have to sort of sell them on why they need to switch to either be Google or Azure with Microsoft or something like that.
Yeah. So, speaking of Google, well, Frank, did you have any other questions in regards to Managed
No,
Company?
go ahead. I think I know where you're going with the next one. So
Okay,
please.
no, I was just going to ask. I saw online that you had gone to Google I/O. Did you see anything exciting, anything super interesting that you enjoyed about Google I/O this year?
Oh yeah, a lot of what I was talking about, sort of learning about the. I guess I get a fix from that. That's my drug, because I guess I got to sort of see what was coming. Met a lot of people, pretty exciting people that hopefully I can follow up with and start fruitful relationships, business-wise and personally.
Great.
And of course, learned a lot. I mean, it was pretty impressive with what with the direction that they're taking anyway.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, tell us about some of the stuff you took back with you, like as far as concepts.
Concepts meaning, okay, so basically the way I had been approaching building apps for so long, just thinking, MVC, which is, the whole model view controller, MTV, model template view sort of mindset. And then I actually sat through a session about shadow DOMs and sort of manipulating the DOM in HTML. And it's way over my head right now.
It's over my head too.
That sounds spooky.
Shadow DOMs and all that kind of stuff, and basically with the power of JavaScript and HTML, and sort of web databases and basic tools at my hand, and maybe even a Cloud9 web-based IDE and a Chromebook Pixel. I could basically whip up a prototype for me personally or for a client of mine within a matter of hours. And applications like Angular, which is it was another session that was pretty exciting to go to, sort of blows my mind as to how they're able to perform all the magic, quote unquote, behind the scenes. And I'm basically templating my HTML, and I'm able to sort of work as if I'm building, work a lot more efficiently than I would building something in Django and scripting in Python.
Wow. It sounds like they really, I guess for people of my level, that they launched solutions that would make it better for you to develop in, like a space for you to develop in better. Is that am I phrasing that the right way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There, even with stuff that I don't do, I mentioned before, I don't do native apps, right? They announced, the Android Studio and basically, and of course the geofencing stuff with the Google Maps API, where they're going with that. And of course their cloud platform, all centered around their cloud platform, Google App Engine, and all that stuff. It seems that they're doing all the heavy lifting that is normally a barrier to people like me that, makes it a lot more, it used to make it a lot more intimidating for me to sort of, find an idea and start coding. It's still a little intimidating to me every time I'm trying to do something new. I don't even know where to start. But that barrier is sort of fading. That's a bad analogy, but
that makes sense.
It's sort of getting easier to hurdle over.
Yeah, and they're all about, I guess making it so that people like you, developers, would be able to do what they need to do to create wonderful apps and wonderful solutions, for all of us to use. So it's in their best interest.
Right, and I come from a designer. I've always been sort of a UI guy every day. So it's actually pretty cool having a little bit of an advantage over a pure back-end developer, because the more I learn about back-ends, I still have a strong design background and user experience background with that.
Nice. That's a good mix.
Yep.
That's a real nice mix. So one thing about Google I/O that people always talk about, at least I do, is the swag.
Right.
They always give good swag. What did you get this year for Google I/O swag?
Other than super exciting people, a lot of T-shirts. You'd be surprised how many T-shirts I ended up with.
Wow.
I remember bringing 2 or 3 T-shirts, excluding my, sort of like just plain white shirts that I wear under my regular shirts. But I only brought 2 or 3 T-shirts because I knew that, they're going to be handing out T-shirts everywhere along. I play a lot of Ingress, this Android game that the Niantic team comes out with.
Are you Enlightenment or what are you?
I'm Resistance.
Resistance.
I'm a level 8 Smurf, or if you want to call it that. So I got the fancy little blue level 8 shirt and caught the envy of it.
Sweet.
But of course, the Chromebook Pixel was something that
got the Pixel.
Everyone was talking about. Actually, funny, my wife and I went on a trip to Ghana, and I had my Chromebook from last year that they gave, the Samsung device they gave out, and she uses that device more than I do, and I ended up giving it away while we were in Ghana, West Africa, and she never forgave me. So I always had planned, I told her I was going to get a Pixel, but it was a little too expensive to sort of justify.
Yeah, it is a little high.
So yeah, I ended up
giving her the Pixel.
Well, I still have the Pixel, but she's free to use it anytime she wants.
You know what? I have not played with the Pixel yet. Do you like it? Is it?
Absolutely love it, man. The first thing that anyone says first thing I did when I turned on the Pixel was just get completely enthralled with the screen and the brightness and the quality of the Pixel and the density of that screen. I haven't used any of the newer Macs, so that whole Retina paradigm is sort of foreign to me. So this was the best thing I'd ever seen.
Nice.
And as far as performance, it's decent. I would have loved a little bit more battery life on the thing, but I mean, what was that thing that Louis C.K. always says? Everything is great and we're never happy.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's a great, I guess, concept product. One of the best devices that I've seen.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's something I was a little concerned about because the price was kind of high, and I was kind of like everyone else saying, would someone actually pay this much for this, just a web-based device? And evidently people are. It's another friend of mine has one that didn't go to Google I/O. He actually bought one and he loves it. So it's something I would like to have, but I just don't have the excess funds kind of sitting around to spend.
I'm told they make great Father's Day gifts.
Do they? I don't think Dad. I don't know. Dad might like one. He might. Our father might. Frankie and I are brother and sister, by the way. So,
but it's not my fault, please.
and I call him Frankie.
Right.
And he probably doesn't like that. Do you like that? No.
Oh, I've been called worse.
No. Okay. So I slip up. I try to call him Frank, but I slip up here on the show and call him Frankie. Anyway.
I won't tell.
Thank you.
Just between us and your large audience.
That's right. So I have to ask. So last year at Google I/O, they had the Q. What's your Q up to today when you brought that home? What happened to your Q?
So when I brought it home, and still today, I have these delusions that I'm going to actually do something cool with it, right? I'm going to hack into it, and I'm going to make it something that it's not. And I'm gonna, on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and brag about it. Hasn't happened, but you'll be surprised that I'm perhaps the only person that uses the device to just sort of sling stuff to YouTube almost daily.
Nice.
I don't know why a lot of people don't use it for that. Obviously, because I'm sure everyone else has, other devices to do that. I don't. So I just use the Q. I used to have a Google TV device. That's a couple IOs ago they gave those out.
Was it the Logitech one?
The Logitech one. That's downstairs in my game room, but I don't ever go down there anymore because I'm busy. So.
Mine stopped working. I have that as well, and it's corrupt. So I need to figure out how to. I was just thinking maybe I could hack it and ROM it or something and do it myself. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty extensible.
Yeah.
At least a new paperweight.
A new paperweight. Exactly. So, what are your, here, a hot topic today, wearable technology. What's your take on wearable tech?
My take is that it's already here. We don't realize it. We're already used to it from pacemakers. I consider a pacemaker wearable. I guess you're not really wearing it. It's inside.
It's more installed. Yeah.
Installable tech. No, but your Nike Fuel Bands, your Fitbits. I run lately. I don't know why. I do a lot of fitness stuff. But I use my Garmin device, my 910X thing, and my heart rate monitor. And I do all these crazy, mud runs, Spartan runs, and all that stuff. And it's great to sort of know what my pace is, what my heart rate is as I'm doing this stuff. Glass, I guess, is where we're going with this. Is sort of a newer form of it. It looks different, and it sits somewhere that we're not used to. Mm-hmm. So, it's gotten a little bit of controversy behind it. So.
Yeah, it's definitely isn't well, like what you were saying. I use a Nike Fuel Band, and that's kind of wearable tech somewhat, but it's not all, it's not too high tech. But I do like those biometric devices that notify us where we are when we're working out and what we're doing, as far as fitness goes. I love that. So. Yeah, but you're right. With Google Glass, they talk about privacy, and I have my views on it, but I'm curious. And I'm sorry, Frank, I'm talking so much. I'll let you.
No. I was going to ask that question too.
Oh, go. Yeah, well, what your view on privacy is, and Frank, I'll let you ask the next question. My apologies.
I don't want to answer. I don't want to ask it anymore. So, sit down here and drink some water. Good water.
I think, frankly, a lot of the privacy stuff, or FUD, where I'm going with this then, is a little overblown. Mm-hmm. We, as a society, sort of react to things that we don't understand or things that we're not used to.
Yep.
The same way. Cell phones to landlines to television sets to the newspaper, the printing press. I mean, there's always going to be an audience or a group of people, or I want to call them Luddites or whatever, but they have their own justifiable reasons why they think insert next piece of technology is ruining their way of life. Right. And I think glass is the same as I think everyone expected. Everyone who's paying attention to how we receive these types of things expected that. In this day and age, as you know, I mean, with the internet, those voices are now amplified, right? And people who don't have opinions sort of repeat and regurgitate those thoughts. I unfortunately don't have those beliefs. I feel that it's just a part of evolution to have the technology that we as a society, as a civilized world, build together, and that eventually becomes part of our evolution. I would eventually love to be to see a pair of eyeglasses or a pair of contacts that gives me contextual pieces of information when I want it, or not even that form factor. Maybe even an earpiece, or what we call a Bluetooth headset now, that sort of tells me stuff as I ask it. It doesn't, or a watch that Apple may make someday, who knows, that gets me relevant bits of my life or what other people's lives are like, because I'm curious about those kind of things.
Frank, I'm curious what your view is, and then I'll talk about my view on the privacy issue, because it is a hot topic right now.
Well, I mean, I used to be opposed when I first got a smartphone to even, downloading and installing an app based on the restrictions and the permissions it requested. But, now it's, a lot like Noble said, it's just kind of the evolution of the thought process even. It's just kind of second nature. I still don't actively pursue things that I might consider to be invasive, but it's definitely a lot more common, especially with Google, the way it just kind of customizes the user experience. And looks like glass in particular is a good example of that as well. Like Noble was saying about on demand, I mean, it's not, as I understand, going all the time, is it, the glass?
It's not on all the time, which actually goes to that point that I was making about when people don't really understand it. They sort of think it does things that may sort of violate their principles or privacy or stuff like that. It's people then eventually get used to it, and when after they find use for it, But no, it's not on all the time. It's actually off by design, out of the way by design. Actually, the physical layout of it sits above your eye, so you can have eye contact. That's just sort of a metaphorical, it's out of the way kind of thing.
Right.
And then also, I guess they're indoctrinating glass developers, or glassware developers, as they call it, and I actually cringe every time I say glassware. They're sort of letting us know that, by some of the apps that have already launched, that, you build these apps or glassware to be out of the way when the user doesn't want the stuff, their information, and there and timely when the user needs it.
Nice.
So yeah, it's not a long way to answer your question, Frank. but yeah, it's certainly not out of the way.
Yeah, my view on it is I think everyone is overreacting. I agree wholeheartedly that people don't get it. The people that they just assume the worst, they're programmed to think the worst and expect the worst, and oh no, this might happen. I mean, if you live your life in fear like that, then forget innovation, right? I mean, it just goes out the window. And these people that just are so worried about it just need to get over themselves and embrace this innovation. And it's, glass is awesome, right? You have this device that's telling you providing information as you need it. And right now it's in its infancy stages, but I can't wait to see what happens. Now that people like you, Noble, that have this are able to develop and create content. And I'm so glad that they launched the program that they did by giving it all to you all first, or providing you the opportunity to purchase it first, rather.
Right.
And so that when there is a consumer launch, we actually have apps that we can use. Yeah, I'm so excited about it. I just love the idea.
Yeah, I'm 100% lockstep in agreement with you. It was sort of one of those things where they thought, you know what, when Apple launched their SDK, the iPhone went down in history as one of the greatest device ever made.
It did.
I mean, and it still, in my opinion, it still is. But that was, the trajectory was sort of, exponentially just out of this planet after the SDK launch. So I'm sure someone at Google, sort of, they measure everything, right? So I'm sure someone at Google says, hey, you know what happens when we sort of, test this by releasing it before it launches?
Mm-hmm.
How successful could it be? And frankly, I'm a strong believer that this device lives and dies in the hands of the developers that do stuff with it. Frankly, if it's compelling for you and frankly, no pun intended, like you would have a reason to pick one up.
Yes.
Frankly, if it's compelling enough, you would throw money at it no matter what. A car isn't cheap. It's $10,000 to $20,000 depending on what suits your fancy. But we still save up and buy cars and houses and stuff like that. Not to say it should cost that much, but it should be within reason.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. I don't know. I mean, I would pay up to $500 for it. I probably would. Knowing me, I'd probably pay more. Heck, if I were part of that Twitter program to get it for $1,500, I would do it. Yeah, I would have done it. But so I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think the price point is going to be when it launches? Can you take a guess?
Looking at my arm and my leg right now, and that looks reasonable.
I'll add my firstborn. I don't know. It's.
I'm thinking maybe 300.
Yeah, I guess I can answer based on what I would love it to be.
Yeah.
I would love it to be within that $300 to $600 price range.
Yeah.
Just because of what it does. Like I couldn't justify the price. I still can't justify the price of a Pixel. I can't justify the price of this. If I had to pay for this out of my own pocket, my glass unit out of my own pocket, I probably wouldn't have picked it up because it's a little bit too expensive. I certainly have my own company, so I have some luxury to purchase it through my company. So I guess I lucked out.
So speaking of glass, so you when you received it, you had to go somewhere, right? I believe the two places were New York and San Francisco. Was that a requirement?
No, it wasn't a requirement. You could have opted to have it shipped to you, so you wouldn't spend the flight to San Francisco or to LA or to Mountain View or to New York. I decided I was in the very first wave. I can't say like what number I was to get the call for legal reasons, NDAs and such.
Okay.
But I was in the first wave of Glass invites.
Nice.
That's pretty flattering.
Right.
It is.
And so my excitement, I mean, every single Glass Explorer or even the Foundry guys that did the hackathon with us in New York or San Francisco had been waiting since the hackathon in February. I mean, we were just impatient, just frothing at the mouth So, I mean, if I hadn't acted on I'm going to pick it up the earliest I could, I would have been, it would have been, the silliest thing that I've ever done, frankly. So I couldn't pick it up when I got the invite. I had to wait an extra couple painful days, maybe a week. And I ended up flying to San Francisco, and then driving to Mountain View, which was great because I was able to meet a client and
good
this trip.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was thinking, I immediately thought you would have driven up to New York because I'm in DC. Yeah,
you're
in DC. Yeah,
that's what a normal person would do. Only problem is that the New York pickups were a week later.
Okay.
A week later than I could have picked mine up.
Gotcha.
So,
your priorities are on check. I understand.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's a time difference.
Yeah, the first available date that I could find a ticket that wasn't overly expensive, and two, I could sort of make plans and sort of schedule my life around the trip was on the 20th of April. Mm-hmm. New York didn't come till maybe a week or two later. And then shipping it gave us like May something.
Oh, yeah, forget that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was, if I could have been there that day when I got the call, I would have been in in Mountain View that day.
Yeah. Well, at least also out in San Francisco or that area, there's, like you said, you got to see a client, and
right.
There's so many contacts out that way. So you can make good use of your time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So what, and Frank, you know what? You ask the next question, Frank. Go ahead, because
No.
I'm just
I'm
so
enjoying
excited.
This. I'm sitting here with my water, and I'm, listening. About the Google Glass. Sorry to go back to that again, but I was wondering, does it ever fall off?
It doesn't. Well, technically it does sometimes. I had a really bad case of allergies a few weeks ago when I got back from San Francisco, and I remember sneezing really hard one day, and it fell off.
Oh.
And frankly, it's not overly tight, but it just grips your face well enough to allow me to play a full game of basketball with it. And
Wow.
I've put a bunch of stuff on YouTube of me playing basketball, and
That's cool.
I've done some pretty crazy stuff. I ran a marathon with it on.
Is that on YouTube too?
Of course, it's all over my Google Plus and the pictures. So if you just type in Noble Ackerson in Google Plus, if it's not on YouTube, it's on Google Plus.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of stuff that I haven't had time to upload. But yeah, I'm a pretty active guy, I guess. And I'm pretty happy with the performance and the comfort.
That was something I was, because you watch the videos, right? The promotional videos, and it has someone on a roller coaster, it has someone on a trapeze,
Right.
and I was thinking, what? How is this not falling off? I would be so
paranoid as hell,
right? Yeah, especially on a roller coaster. If you're going upside down, I would be
I've seen a lot of those. I mean, a lot of people have gotten their glass units, and I'm seeing even crazier things. I saw one guy, I can't remember his name, I feel bad. He did parkour with glass. I mean, I've seen handstands through glass.
Wow.
Over the weekend, my third anniversary with my wife, we went to somewhere pretty close by here, National Harbor, and there were street performers. One lady was on a unicycle. I guess she was, quote unquote, the clown on the unicycle, and she was juggling. And she noticed I had glass on. She asked me what it was, and I explained it to her. So I gave her glass, and I've got footage of that as well,
Neat.
where she's juggling with glass and all that stuff. So
it's pretty brave trusting a clown with your device like that.
yeah, I know. That's actually, you're the second person, second person to say that.
That's funny. It's really, no, I was just thinking, though, I mean, it's good to hear. It's a good testimonial, because that was my one thing that I was really concerned about. Not that I'm a hardcore with sports or anything, but just for being active, it's I was just kind of worried that would fall off.
No. Again, playing basketball was sort of the ultimate test, because you know how active a game of basketball. So yeah.
Well, now, how do you feel that devices like this will change the development of many apps in the future?
If the platform to build apps is thought through well, I think the device succeeds. So look, if that's your question, so look at Windows Phone, look at what BlackBerry's doing, look at what Apple's doing, and of course Android. It isn't just about the revenue split. It isn't just about how many apps are in your marketplace. It's actually the tools that you provide the developers to be creative. And so you give them the rope and just have them, do something really, really cool with what you built. And it's interesting that Google didn't go the native route, even though this is a Galaxy Nexus on my face, essentially. They didn't immediately go the native route. They gave us a little restful playground to play with. So it's, building for Glass, like building for, the web. You're building, it's basically more web development than native development, which is great for me because I don't know any native development.
So how many apps are there right now? Well, I guess that's hard to say because everyone's kind of making new ones. But as far as what came, when the device launched, what apps were ready at that time? I know Path was one of them, Google Plus, where you could do Hangouts and things of that nature.
Angry Birds.
That would be interesting.
Scrabble. Words with Friends.
Glass with Friends.
Glass with
Friends.
I'm sure someone's working on that. The community, obviously, the audience is, is conducive to this type of, just building anything that comes to mind. But yes, when it first launched, New York Times was, ready at the gate. Path was ready at the gate. I believe Evernote came a few days later. CNN came a few days later. Elle magazine.
Elle?
Yeah. Elle magazine has stuff on here. I'm the wrong audience. I don't read that magazine.
No.
However, I am, during demos for some of my meetings at work, I, turn it on based on the audience, just in order to sort of get the idea across of what it can do.
So what about you? Have you developed any apps for it, or are you working on anything at the moment?
I've worked on a couple things. I just haven't finished any of them. I'm working on a fitness app. So if you go to GlassFit.org, that's something I'm working on. Basically, a fitness coach that sort of guides you through a circuit of workouts, frankly, when I'm done with it.
Sweet.
So eventually, they just announced the streaming capability. I would like to have an actual fitness coach sort of monitor your workout and say, hey, you're punching the bag. I said a hook, not a straight shot. Do it again. So the possibilities are endless. During Google I/O, they also announced an SDK. I'm sorry, a GDK. And what they called it. It's a GDK.
GDK.
And so hopefully they give us access to, some hardware, and I'm pretty sure I will readily use that to sort of transmit Bluetooth information from a heart rate monitor to let you know as you run, how fast you're going.
Awesome.
That is
How well, if with the GPS, how fast you're going, with the heart rate monitor, how fast your heart's beating, if you're in the right zone, if you go over a zone and you need to rest. I'm hopefully going to deliver a card for you that lets you know, hey, your heart's beating too fast, you need to slow down. And the idea is to sort of get this out for just everyday people, and also get this out for veterans who are trying to recover, sort of work their way. Yeah, wounded warriors, I guess I should say.
That's correct.
I love it. I'm super excited for this one. What a great idea. So you're welcome. Now, does it only work? You mentioned that iPhone, I know you're a Mac user and an Apple fan.
Recently, believe it or not, I've always been sort of a lockstep Windows guy.
Interesting.
Until I started developing, and even within the first 2 years of really sort of learning development, I sort of would build my environment in the Windows, Windows world, and that just sort of got old very fast. So I'm recently a Mac OS X guy.
Oh, nice. But what about your phone? Did you already have an Android device or an iPhone? And does Glass only work with Android? I believe that is the answer, but I'm not 100%.
No, actually, Glass works with most of the functionality works with any phone that has Bluetooth capability.
No kidding.
So it just needs to be able to tether to the internet, and it's a cloud-based device, right? So it's doing a lot of its machine learning AI stuff with Google's cloud stuff, which just needs internet access. So if it can do a tether on a BlackBerry, it's gonna give you a large percentage of the functionality.
So the device is just providing the connectivity, not the apps. It's not.
No. So the apps are all cloud-based.
It's all cloud-based.
It's all based.
Nice.
Right? Through Google's Mirror API kingdom thing in the clouds. Mm-hmm. So you basically are developing your service. Google's handling the authentication, the rendering of the cards. Well, you're telling it what to render, obviously. And it's basically pushing it to your Glass device. So all you really need with this thing, a large percentage of what you need with most of its functionality, is internet capability. Mm-hmm. And even, so you take a picture, for example, with the native camera or video apps that come with it. And, you can store it if you don't have internet access, but the second you restore internet connectivity, either 4G or 3G or Wi-Fi, which skips, by the way, Wi-Fi obviously skips your phone altogether. You're great. You're golden. You can just share whatever you have.
Now, do you mean Wi-Fi so that it's paired to your device and your device is hooked up via Wi-Fi?
No, it has its own Wi-Fi chip, and it communicates directly.
Nice, to your router.
With the Android device, with the Android companion app, there is a tool to allow you to input, passphrases or passwords for your passkeys for your Wi-Fi. Your obviously most Wi-Fi signals are now secured, so you need to be able to
put the password in.
Put that in without using your voice, right? So
that's nice.
So that's something that's interesting if you don't have an Android device, because I don't know how you would do that.
I guess you'd have to spell it out, maybe. Yeah.
But if the AP, the access point, or your Wi-Fi signal is open, mm-hmm. You can just join it directly from Glass.
That's cool. I was not aware of that. I like that.
Yeah, I like how they're making it platform independent, frankly. I have a colleague that is also building an app and needs my Glass unit, so he has not me, but my Glass as an employee for his company. And he's building. He has an iOS environment, and so he's building everything on his iPhone, and he's sort of taking the concepts and putting it on Glass. He has never used an Android device in his life, But what he needs to do is, again, strictly on the web. So it's sort of device agnostic. That's where they want to go.
Nicely put.
Yeah. That's clever. That's good. That's really smart. That way they're open to everyone and not just limiting it to Android only, So
It's an interesting strategy, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It is. Apple, if you think about it, what would Apple do in this case, right? Oh,
Apple would require you not only to use an Apple device, but the latest Apple device.
yes. Yes.
So if you have an iPhone 4, unfortunately, you'd need to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to buy a new charger.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, gosh. So, Frank, go ahead. You ask. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please. After you.
Okay. I was curious how often you're wearing your glass today.
Most of the day. It's normally off when it's charging, when I'm in a meeting, when I'm eating. It's
Shower.
on right now, which it traditionally wouldn't be, but I happen to be working on my glassware before joining this call, so I guess I left it on. I don't keep it on continuously for long periods of time because even though it's super light, and for people who wear eyeglasses, they say it's just as or lighter than their pair of eyeglasses. I find the battery part over my right ear to start hurting after a few hours because it's, I don't know, I guess I got tiny sensitive ears or something.
I think if you're not used to it, even for me, if I'm wearing my Bluetooth and a few hours later it's bothering me and I just have to take it out, even though
I have the same problem with
Really?
Bluetooth. I would always take my Bluetooth device off and I would always lose them.
oh my gosh, yeah.
So I just basically stopped.
I mean, mine were like missing socks. They just
A year, a week later,
yeah,
a month or a year later.
Really, that's what happens. I know, it's ridiculous. So I gotta ask, you haven't pulled a Scoble?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. What I wanted to do with glass, because I truly believe that, I was privileged to sort of test something that everyone in the world wants to try on. I figured Google would have wanted us to be sort of good, citizens of glass.
Yeah.
I hate myself for saying that. So I sort of restrict stuff that I do with glass to, stuff that you don't see every day. And I had a, medical scare. I had pancolitis. It's a very nasty thing where your insides get inflamed, your intestines get inflamed, a year and a half ago. And that was sort of a pivotal moment in my life. I said, I'm just going to live my life differently. So every month after I got better, I sort of started doing a lot of fitness stuff, running. I never ran. I decided I wanted to do something pretty epic every month. And it didn't have to be something like amazing. It just had to be something I'd never done before.
Yeah.
So I tend to share that through Glass. So every month I would share something pretty cool.
That's
on
nice.
Google Plus, especially, or sometimes on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I haven't Scoblified. I haven't been baptized in the Scoble, Scobleness.
And Frank, if you might not have seen it because you're not. I don't.
Well,
think
I'm sure going to take a shower. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what it is the Scoble, who's a what would you call his profession?
He's chief evangelist for Rackspace.
Yeah.
So he basically meets with a lot of startups and tries to get Rackspace mentioned during his interviews.
And he's everywhere. He's always trying new products. And so with Glass, there was a picture of him wearing it in the shower.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I've unfortunately seen it. Yeah.
You have seen it. See, I didn't see. I know you're not a geek like us, so I didn't think that you. So wow, that went really mainstream. That's
There you go.
that's amazing.
And
Wow.
Scoble has Scobled.
Oh, funny. Well, Frank, I'll let you go ahead, ask the next question.
Have you? No, I'm just kidding. I was going to ask about school.
I'm sorry.
No, it's still no. I don't plan to
No.
scope.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. I hate to think of what else you might try with it, but give us a couple of examples of some of these other extreme things that you've done with this device.
I guess the coolest thing, and let's start with the coolest thing, would be a tie between. No, not really a tie. The coolest thing was learning how to fly a helicopter through glass.
Whoa!
I wasn't expecting that. That's a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, from a scale of 1 to awesome, this is like beyond like chaotically just fantastic.
Wow.
I don't know where chaotically came from. I've ridden Tesla Model S test drive because I work in DC every now and again, and I sort of stumbled into a Tesla dealership and pretend I had a suit on that day, which is very rare for me. And I put on my best important guy accent and says, "I want to test drive one of these doohickeys." and they actually bought it. Actually, they just called me yesterday to ask if I'd made my decision.
Oh, wow.
It's hilarious. Because I wouldn't even be in the ballpark to be able to afford that thing. Anyway, so
funny.
Driving a Tesla 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat was awesome on 3.5 area through glass.
Wow.
Playing basketball with it and shooting, and this is not just a humble brag; it's a full-on brag. Shooting a free throw,
Nice.
a three-pointer, and a half-court shot almost in succession. Because the first half-court shot, and it's got 101,000 views. Actually,
Whoa!
round up to 102. I was at 102 because it's at 101,920 right now, and so I can send that to you offline.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll put it in the show notes. So yeah, I think everyone will want to see that.
Yeah.
And for the record, there's no video editing software right on there, is it?
No, that'd be awesome if it was, but that'd be battery killer, right? That'd be a battery killer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure someone has already built add a cat to that, which allows you to put a cat on any picture that you take. Frankly, and I know who built it. It was a Googler named Jenny Murphy, and it was awesome.
Oh, is that neat?
That's great.
But no add a cat to video yet, which I'm hoping that'd be the only video editing tool I'll be interested in using on glass. And the reason why I say that is glass isn't meant, frankly, to be a creation device. I mean, if I'm sort of just tapping through and getting bits of information about what is important to me, that's one thing. But I would hate to sort of edit a whole video.
Yeah. Do you think I see this being some competition for GoPro?
I think so too, especially since the GoPro only records, right?
Right.
I mean, granted, a GoPro for the mud run guy like me, I would prefer a GoPro when I'm sort of rolling through barbed wire and climbing stuff and all the mud, because it can take the beating, and I would dare not use glass for that. But say, for example, I'm a motorcycle rider. I put a lot of my videos as I'm riding my motorcycle on my YouTube page as well. And it's crazy because I can ride out to Skyline Drive, which is the mountainsides next to West Virginia, and I can get lost on purpose and still find my way home, which a GoPro wouldn't be able to do.
No, that's right. Good point. That's an excellent point. Yeah, that was one thing, because I have been wanting to get a GoPro for the past few years, and I just haven't.
I really did too. I just couldn't justify the price.
Yeah, right.
But of course, I spent $1,600 on a
glass. But that's one expensive glass. Jeez.
Yeah, most expensive pair of shades I've ever owned.
Oh gosh. Well, I know we've been talking for about an hour, so I guess we should wrap it up. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Anything?
No. Just a lot of people are afraid of the thing, and I get a lot of weird looks. I get a lot of compliments, and I'm not worried at all because over time all that stuff sort of goes away when people get used to the thing. So but yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's one thing I was wondering if people are, hey, what's that? And they kind of look funny, and and people have mentioned about being oh, I wouldn't want to wear that because I'd be self-conscious for wearing these things in public. But you know what? I mean, it's cool. It's
And you're wearing your phone all the time as it is. It's just in your pocket.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You got headphones on, you got Bluetooth. So that's not so much anymore. It's usually just the headphones. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that? How did that headphone? Anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
That's not my demo. I'm a little older than that. Crap.
Me too.
We'll have to wait for Google Ear to come out. Then,
there you go.
Yeah, I bet Frank. I bet you see that a lot over at in Boone since you're so close to ASU.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely. We're recreating the Abbey Road cover only with. And sending traffic swerving everywhere. So.
Well, we appreciate your being here, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. It's been wonderful. I've learned so much about, a lot of things I had no clue. So thank you.
Keep up the good work. It's very refreshing to see a company helping other people like the way you're doing it. So that's very admirable. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you, sir. And thank you, ma'am. I really appreciated it a lot. This was awesome. I was a little nervous at first, but this was just like a regular conversation that I have every day. So.
Exactly. It's just a combo. So do you have anyone you want to do a shout out to?
I don't know. Wow. No, that's selfish, isn't it? Just look out for my app, GlassFit. If I ever finish building it, I also have some pretty cool ideas for that. I would definitely like to shout out some of the great work my stepfather is doing in Ghana. He retired from the Social Security Administration and packed his bags and moved to West Africa, Ghana, to help kids, help fund kids, get school books and stuff like that. So if you're on Facebook or on Google Plus, look up Mind at Work and donate to that cause.
What is it called?
Mind at Work.
Mind at Work.
His whole vision was that kids really didn't had all the smarts, but didn't really have the funds to put their minds to work. Mm-hmm. And so they were just sitting in their villages or their huts, and those just, the internet was just there waiting for them. So he's out there bringing internet to places that traditionally don't even know what a computer is, and getting them school clothes, little things. So,
wonderful.
Uniforms and stuff like that. So,
what a great man.
That's great. Runs in the family.
Yeah, I hope to. I don't know. That's a risky move, but he's doing it and it's working. So, I'm really proud of him.
I will definitely check him out online and like his page on Facebook. So, cool. Good deal. And where can people find you online?
Google. I've basically socially engineered my profile or my name to be the first person. Of course, I have a unique name, so it's pretty easy to find me. But just on Google Plus, that's where I'm most active. Noble Ackerson is my name. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can just go to about.me/Noble. Or just social.nobleackerson.com.
All right. Thank you. And Frank, where can we find you?
You can find me at WTF Ruggiero.
On Twitter.
Oh, that was the at part. I was trying to
gotcha. Okay.
That's awesome.
And me, JenniferRuggiero.com. And, of course, our site, GetNerdyWithIt.com. And you can find us on Twitter at GetNerdy_with it. We're also on Google Plus and Facebook. Check out our links. They're all listed on our site. So thank you so much, Noble. Have a wonderful evening. And
Thanks, Noble.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Get Nerdy With It. Join us each week as we interview nerds talking about their passions.
Oh, nerds.
And be sure to visit us at getnerdywithit.com.